What's going on, guys? Alex here, back at you with another episode of the Paintball Roundtable. Today's episode, I've got a couple guests with me. The first guest, you remember from the first episode,
Hey,
Alex Lescart. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
My second guest is new to the show. His name is also Alex. He is the owner of AG Paintball here where I work. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Want to just do a quick 30-second thing, just, when you started playing paintball and that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I started playing paintball when I was 12. I'm 25 now, so I've been playing in the industry for quite a while. I've owned AG Paintball for 6 years, and I worked here before that, so it's been a little bit of everything for me.
Cool. All right. So basically today, guys, we're just going to kind of do a general discussion about the paintball industry. I think we really get just a good mix of inside industry perspective as well as the consumer perspective. And basically we're just going to shoot out some questions and we're just going to see, what it's like from like the field store owner perspective of just kind of paintball in general. So let's just go ahead and start off with the first topic real quick. It's a question that comes up a lot with a lot of people just in general. Is paintball dying? Is it getting better? Is it just kind of staying steady?
I think it's been a question that's been on the table since, as long as I've been in the industry. And as far as I've ever known, everybody has a different answer, and you can dispute that as much or as little as you want. But in my opinion, it's just changing. You have to remember that our industry is a first generation industry, and what I mean by that is people that are still managing fields, manufacturing companies and stuff like that were the guys that started playing early day paintball. These are the guys that created the game, and it's still a young sport. So right now it's starting to change and starting to evolve, and we're trying to figure out what that means for the industry. It's not really increasing, it's not decreasing. It's a really healthy industry in my opinion. It just needs to figure out its place in the grander scheme of things, and a lot of that's going to come in the next 15 to 20 years of when some younger guys that weren't around at the start of the paintball industry start taking over some of these big companies and start taking over fields and stores and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, as that first generation kind of fades out, they start retiring and...
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at other industries and they're a lot older than us, and they had a lot of the same problems initially, where you've got this old crew of guys that are used to doing it a certain way, and you have this new changing marketplace. We're talking online retail. It's a global economy and it changes quickly, and our industry is trying to adapt to that, and it's done an all right job, but there's definitely progress to be made there. So it'll be interesting to see as we get a younger crowd in.
Yeah, we're really just going, especially just specific to our industry, it's almost a unique set of problems that a lot of other industries probably faced a long time ago.
Yeah. And
it's definitely just kind of like a growing pains, really. Just kind of trying to get used to being part of the modern world almost. From like the consumer side, like do you like more, because you're more of a player, do you feel like not being in the industry, if when you just see paintball, like when you go and play at like Fox 4 or something like that or whatever, just in general from like what you see, like you see the people there and you kind of see like the equipment that are using, do you get that feeling that it's it's staying pretty rock steady, it's kind of healthy, it's not declining, but it's certainly not like greatly improving?
I know when I was playing NEPL back in the day, probably 2000-ish, to 2002, there'd be 100 teams playing.
Right.
And now, if you go play the NEPL kind of thing, like, we have 16 teams. It's like they lost 80 teams for an event. The fields an event used to have like 10, 12 fields to play. Now they can, rotate it all in one field. So, and I did, I know it took a big hit, it seemed, like 2004. It just grew so fast, and then it just like shrunk right down.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty steady now, it seems. It seems kind of just found its spot. It had its high, it had its low, and now I think it's kind of just making its way just to being where it's going to be.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like we're just kind of, from what I see working here in the shop every day, and just from what I see going to Extravaganza every year, it seems to kind of just be on that median. It's not really, it's not really sloping up, not really sloping down either. It's just kind of staying steady. So kind of on that note for the transition here, talking about like growth and all that kind of stuff lately in paintball specifically in like the last 2 years, we've had the introduction of basically two new types of paintball with Splatmaster coming first, and more recently the low impact. On the inside of the industry part, how has that been coming across in the industry to personally? Do you think is it something that's good? Is it something that's is it taking away from people who might be wanting to play paintball, or you think should be coming into regular paintball? Or what's just your basic opinion on it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a big proponent of Splatmaster and low impact, and the reason I'm a big proponent of that is one of the issues, and the reason, like what you were saying, with teams playing, a lot fewer teams playing and stuff like that, is when we got big, back in the 2000s and in that time frame, as an industry, we fucked up. We took the money and we ran, and that was a mistake. And that's something I feel like kind of right now we're at a point where we can make that choice again, or we can change. And so I'm a big proponent of changing, because obviously it didn't work out the first time. What I mean by taking the money and running is sales were great, everybody was having a good time, all that stuff, and instead of reinvesting in the industry, instead of doing our research of, hey, why are people coming out to play paintball, what are they enjoying about it, everything like that, we just accepted it as, okay, there's people playing paintball, cool, we're making money. What we should have been doing is seeing why they were coming out. Are they having a good time? Are they coming back? We don't, as an industry, we don't have any of this data. We don't know if someone goes and plays speedball for their first time, do they ever come back and play again? We have no idea. So that, for me, low impact and Splatmaster kind of help that question, because to back up a little bit, I've always felt like paintball is an intense sport, and that's awesome, but it's kind of like skydiving in that sense, where everybody's going to try it once.
Yeah.
But how many people then go and become regular everyday skydivers?
Right.
But we have an opportunity where we have this really fun sport. If we can tone it down a little bit and have, a good analogy that I use a lot is like t-ball and baseball. Not everybody's going to go be a professional baseball player, but everybody's played baseball at some level or another. And whether it's a men's league softball or fast pitch, or as you're growing up t-ball, there's all these different levels, and they don't even really have distinctions word-wise. You go say, oh, I'm going to go play baseball, and no one asks you, oh, what level are you going to play, or anything like that. Paintball, the first time you go play paintball, traditionally, you're playing with a 68 caliber paintball, and it's going 280 to 300 feet per second. And in all reality, that's the same thing that you're doing when you're a pro player. I mean, granted, there's more paintballs, and there's some skill there and all that fun stuff, but it hurts the same. It's just as intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's tough for me to have people come out, play for the first time, and possibly not come back because it's so intense, when we can offer them an experience that's less intense and maybe something that they're interested in. I think there's a big market out there for low impact in particular, of people that don't ever want to play regular paintball, and they want to come out and play low impact paintball, and that's kind of the level that they're at. That's the intensity level. Right. And I think that people that want to scale up from low impact they can come play regular paintball, or they can stay at low impact. And one of the problems I have with paintball, traditional paintball players, is there seems to be a lack of players accepting that just because they're not playing regular paintball, that they're not doing the sport that you like, or that that you love. I get a lot of feedback from kind of traditional paintball players that oh, we want to see the sport grow, and oh, we want more teams playing and all that stuff. But when that 12-year-old's playing low impact, it's oh yeah, well, when you grow up you can play, big boy paintball, or when the woman's out there playing paintball, it's oh, when are you going to try real paintball? And it's this stigma that it's not real paintball, and in my mind that's just so damaging to the industry.
No, that's an absolutely just terrible point of view to just look at it that way.
And I always see, on the forums and stuff like that. I mean, I don't go on them a ton, but when I do see, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I really support that, and that's what we need is people coming out to actual fields and being supportive of people playing for their first and second time and getting into the sport. And at the end of the day, the way that we get more players is we have to get more people interested in the sport in the first place. And the way to do that is to have them come out and try something. And whether that be full impact or low impact, they got to start somewhere. And I think low impact's the great opportunity for that. Splatmaster is good for young kids. It's definitely not good for adults and stuff like that, like low impact can be. But Splatmaster, it has its place. Again, you're talking about kids that wouldn't traditionally play paintball. They'd be out playing laser tag or Nerf or, some of the other competing products. And you're introducing them to paintball at a, younger age. And what's the first thing that's going to happen when they turn 12? They're going to say, hey, I want to go play low impact or go play regular paintball now because I'm ready. I'm old enough. Yeah. So, they're both tools in our arsenal to get people in the door and get possible future paintball players out of them, and that's really what we need.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, I know we talk about this a lot when we go to Extravaganza. For you guys that don't know, we do drive all the way from here in New Hampshire all the way down to Virginia, so we've got quite a bit of time to ponder and talk about things on the way down, and that was definitely one of the things coming back from this past year's Extravaganza, because Key had just released the low impact down there, and I remember talking about that a lot on the way back and how we can approach it properly and how we can do it, and how I think we were both kind of in agreement and on the same page that it shouldn't be looked at as like almost what you were saying, it shouldn't be looked at as an intermediary step between Splatmaster and paintball. It should be its own thing and should be treated as such. And you shouldn't, like any other paintball player, if you play speedball or woodsball or whatever, don't knock on somebody because they play low impact.
And like the low impact guns, because they're small and lightweight and stuff, it's easy to say like, oh, that's it's not a real paintball gun, or oh, that's for kids or something like that. And you can say that, but from a business and a marketing perspective, as soon as you say that, you're never going to get an adult to try it.
Right, exactly. I remember we had a very lengthy discussion about what to actually call it.
Yeah, exactly. If you say, oh, kid paintball, or
junior paintball.
Yeah, junior paint, whatever. It gives that stigma. And in reality, we want to market it to everybody. We don't want it to be a kid thing. Kids are getting into it pretty much no matter what. We want it to be a, hey, how do we get a corporate game to come out, once a year and play? When they have, half their workforce is women, or they want to bring their kids with them and stuff like that. It's like I said earlier, it's a tool in our arsenal to get people who otherwise would be intimidated by traditional paintball in the door, pulling a trigger, and shooting a paintball out, and not, having it not hurt as much, and having it be less intimidating, and, getting their foot in the door. And of those people, you're going to see a conversion of a small percentage of them to regular paintball and into our tournaments, and, feed all of the rest of the industry. And that's where it's at. We're just not doing a good job nationally of feeding people into the higher echelons of tournaments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We're kind of just taking them in the door as rental players and not seeing them back again. Yeah,
absolutely. So kind of on the note of intimidation, let's bring up speedball in paintball. Because I can sit here and confidently say that statistically, in the few studies that have been done, roughly 85 to 90% of people that are currently playing paintball on this planet are woodsball players. Mm-hmm. Speedball is absolutely the minority. Mostly it gets all the attention because it's the professional sport version. of our sport. So it does
spectator friendly.
Yeah, it does. We've been trying to make it spectator friendly. Although
that's why it came around in the first place. I mean, that was the original intention of Speedball, was how do we get an even side spectator friendly sport that it can be televised. I mean, that was the whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
So
really, I guess what I wanted to move on to is the big collapse that happened at the end of 2006, like the big collapse that happened between 2006 and 2007 in paintball, where paintball as an entire sport just almost like went to a team died. The NXL went under. The NPPL's been going in and out of bankruptcy ever since then.
Mm-hmm.
Half teams in the league quit just because it wasn't, it was a lot of issues with. There's a laundry list of issues. A lot of the big ones being there was a lot of money that was being promised here and there between different companies to teams to other companies, wasn't being delivered. People were going in debt. It really just tanked. And I think a lot of people still are undecided or just don't understand or really know why that happened. And there's also a very large crowd that just say, speedball is the only way to go and should be the only way to go in paintball because it's spectator friendly and all that jargon. And then you have the entire crowd on the other side of the fence saying speedball is killing our sport and it needs to go. You really don't see an in between, so just like what's your personal stance on speedball?
You get me started on speedball again.
Yeah.
So I mean, a little background on me. We've done speedball. I worked down at Canopy Paintball near here as well, which was a little bit of a larger facility. And so in my career in the industry, we've been traditionally mostly woods ball. However, we have attempted, speedball, setting up speedball fields and stuff like that 3 or 4 times. And I mean, we've done it well. I mean, we're talking fully turfed, full, X-ball setups, that kind of stuff, when X-ball was cool.
The good days.
I'll say this. As a business, we have never made a dime on speedball. And in my personal experience. And it's always been a huge hassle and a huge expense for the field compared to our woods ball business. I think the problem with speedball, the underlying problem with speedball is 2 things. One is, as an industry, we're not big enough to be paying these guys way.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is when you look at national tournaments and stuff like that, even like PSP, World Cup, stuff like that, there's money being made there, but it's not as much as people kind of anticipate. I think that a lot of teams and stuff are like, Die and Key Action Sports, and, they're making so much money at these events. And, I mean, they're just not. Even Key Action Sports, well, all things aside, Key Action Sports, there's a reason why they're not supporting the NPPL anymore. Some has to do with politics, but it was costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to get the trucks and the tents and the staff to each of these events. And you're talking, 10 events here when they were doing both things. They're not, all of the paint money, all the stuff from the NPPL was going towards going to the NPPL. I mean, it's a total zero gain for them. As a player, you want to see all these manufacturers there and stuff like that. And all I can say is, you've got these manufacturers sponsoring your team and giving you discounts on stuff and making no money to sell you paint at the event and show all their product and have these tents and techs available and all that stuff. And what's the speedball community's response to that? And in my experience, it's been, give me more free stuff.
Yeah,
and just from a fundamentals point, that has to stop. Because if players want to have a functioning speedball society, you're going to have to pay for it. And I don't mean everybody. I mean, I'm not saying there's not an echelon where you should start getting sponsorships and stuff like that. But if you play 2 tournaments a year in your spare time, like, you shouldn't get anything from these manufacturers. You should be talking to your local pizza places and stuff like that to try and get some money to play and stuff like that.
Just like any other sport.
Right. And it's just, we don't have enough depth, I guess, in professional football and stuff like that. Yes, there's this whole league where everybody's getting paid a ton of money and all that stuff, but they have hundreds of thousands of players that aren't making money and are paying to go to training camps and play in college ball and stuff like that. We have none of that. And that puts us in an interesting position as an industry. And then I think on a more local level, you've got these tournaments that do pretty well, because they can host them on their own fields and they don't have to have any transportation costs and big setups and stuff like that. But you still have these guys looking for handouts, and at the end of the day, they're spending the same amount of money as a guy playing out in the woods, but the speedball fields are costing 10 and 15 times more money than a traditional woods ball field. It just doesn't really add up. And also, what we can sell for a case of paint in the woods, say $65 or so, you just can't traditionally sell to the speedball kid at the same amount. And everybody always argues, oh, well, they shoot 2 cases of paint or they shoot more. But that doesn't add up to the profit on, shooting 2 cases of paint out in the woods. It just doesn't add up. And, that makes it challenging. And I think there's a big stigma now where these speedball guys they kind of have an idea of what things cost, or they think they do, and they really just expect that, I play every weekend and I must, I spend so much money here, and so they feel like the fields owe them something.
Right.
And I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like in any other industry, like if you go skiing a bunch, you go to your mountain 10 times or whatever, you have a season pass that costs you $1,000 or something. You don't walk into the pro shop and be like, yo, I spend $2,000 a year here, give me 50% off a pair of skis. Like, the guy's going to laugh you out of the pro shop. But in paintball, we do that. And, instead of saying, hey, what we're doing as fields and stuff like that has a value, we provide a good experience, we're giving you all this stuff, and it's worth X. And whatever that number is, I think the players need to kind of come to the realization that if they want people to play with, they're going to have to pay that dollar figure, and the industry needs to stand up for itself too. We kind of are easily bullied by players, who spend a lot of money, quote unquote. And I guess the other thing is, like, back to my data point of, I personally want the industry to get some data on first-time players in speedball, because a lot of places only have speedball or only have woodsball, and I want to know the first-time player that comes to play speedball, does he ever come back versus the person that comes to play woodsball the first time? Because my personal opinion is that the first time a guy goes to play speedball, the retention rate isn't as high as the first time a guy goes to play woodsball.
I would tend to agree with that.
And I think that needs to be addressed in the industry. I'm not saying there's not a place for speedball. I just think that we need to come to the realization that if you only have a speedball field, and if we can figure out that the retention rate of players isn't there, then we need to figure out how to work that into our overall structure of, saying, hey, we're not for first-time players. I think that's kind of causing some players to be turned off, and they're being pushed into a situation they don't want to do, don't want to play in, and that kind of is that intimidation factor for sure.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, it just... if you think about it with any other industry, it just makes a perfect amount of sense. Like, I go to Dunkin' Donuts and buy their coffee all the time because I like Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I don't feel like Dunkin' Donuts owes me anything.
Right.
I just like their coffee, so I go buy their coffee.
Right.
Like, I don't, why would I walk in there and be like, hey, I've been here 3 times this month because I like your coffee. Give me it for free.
Right.
But that happens in our industry every single day.
Yeah.
For absolutely zero reason. So over to you, other Alex, the third Alex here. You're definitely a long-time tourney ball player. You've been, you've gone to World Cup, you've gone to, PSPMAO, you were playing ball back in the NEPL way back when, and all that kind of stuff. So, as like a player, like going to these events, and just kind of seeing the environment around you, do you feel like do you get like a good vibe? Like last time you went to Cup was 2 years ago?
It was last year.
Last year?
Not this year, but last year.
Last year. So, so when you were at Cup last year, did you get like a good vibe from that? Do you feel like that was, like this is, this feels like it's running well and it's doing good, or did you kind of maybe like, I can see why people don't like paintball, or this is why paintball gets a bad image?
Well, Cup it's just a pretty amazing, thing. The amount of teams there, the amount of vendors, I think it's run really good. Everybody's having a good time there. MAO is a little bit different kind of thing. Last year I went to MAO. You just expect it to be as big as World Cup. So World Cup's kind of hard to compare to a regular PSP event.
So we'll take MAO because that's just a regular.
Yeah, so MAO actually has a similar feel to like the older NEPLs. There was no giant tractor trailer.
Yeah.
They was there with the paint, but they weren't there having these giant, displays and everything. People were Dye was working out of a, econo van basically.
Right.
So
So like when you were there, was just like the general vibe you were getting from the atmosphere from just the event itself. Like, was it like good? Like if you brought someone there that had, no idea about paintball or something like that, do you think they'd be,
I think
what would they think about it?
They would have a blast, I think. There's enough there, everything, real good spectator seating and stuff like that. No, it's not like you go to a Patriots game and everybody's hammered and swearing or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's very family friendly kind of a thing.
Okay.
And it's exciting, but at the same part, if you're not super into paintball, you're watching the same exact layout of the same teams playing 20 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
5-minute break, 2 other teams come out, play for 20 minutes, breakouts start becoming the same. So basically, if you don't love paintball and you go to one of those events, it's not going to be an all-day event for you. You go there, check it out, check out the vendors, and then you gotta leave. But
you definitely feel like it wouldn't like put a bad taste in their mouth.
Oh, definitely not.
All right.
So that's actually, I have a question for you then, because like one of the things that I saw in my experience setting up speedball is every time we set up speedball in view of like a parking lot or a staging area or something like that, we actually would see a noticeable decrease in just walk-in players playing woods ball, and the only piece of data that we could get out of that was people were really intimidated by the look of speedball in the thing, because they walk in, they're checking their like 12-year-old kid in or whatever, and you've got all these guys yelling, and it's not profanities, but they're yelling snake one, whatever, and they're shooting a bunch of paints really loud, it's hitting the bunkers, 15 balls a second. And they're like, oh, what did I get myself into? And it's an instant, immediate, like walk out of the door of the car, turn off. So you don't feel like an event like that turns people off from ever trying it if they've never had any exposure to it before.
I can definitely see what you're talking about, because earlier when you're talking about like first timers, definitely speedball's not for first timers unless it's a private party. If you're a kid, you got 10, 15 of your buddies, and you can get a field to yourself. But too many times if I play, like just walk on and you'll have 2 new players using their Tippmann 98s, and then there's 10, 15 tournament players, and tournament players, they don't like shutting it off. They're full speed right ahead. If they can shoot that kid with a Tippmann off the break, they're happy. You need to, like my team is always, oh, you're new, come with us, all right, I'm going to shoot here, now you can go, go shoot that guy now, you got to help these people out, because it is the future, definitely.
I've definitely seen that just from earlier this year when myself and my guys were doing practices over at BOLP. Obviously, for anybody that's listening that's local knows BOLP. For anybody that's not local, BOLP is just a just a really small place kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and they just have like one small PSP style field kind of set up, and it's basically just a guy in a trailer, and he just lets walk-ons. He advertises it for anybody to come play and use it, and what you get is basically a lot of like local speedball guys that show up because he only charges like $5.
Yeah, it's cheap. You get what you pay for, kind of thing with him.
So you get all these
nice
guys.
Guy, but you bring your own paint. You pay
Right.
$10 entrance, but you're not getting anything special with it. You're getting a good field, but it's not reffed. It's nothing special.
Right. The problem is you get the speedball guys that show up just because it's so cheap and it gives them a field, something to play on. But then you also get these people that they see it online. They have no idea about anything about paintball. They just see it's paintball, so that's where they go. They have no idea that it's like this little hole in the wall place, and they show up and expecting, and they get the experience, and they show up, and they're given like these little 98 rental guns, and they're put out on a PSP tourney field with guys who are there to practice, to keep their edge, that are there because it's $5. And me and my guys used to go there for practices, but we used to schedule other teams to come with us so we could play against each other. Because if me and my guys are there and we're just like doing drills or something like that, and there's walk-on guys, we've had this happen where like walk-on guys with like rental guns come up and ask us, hey, do you want to come play us? And honestly, we did, it kind of makes us come off as terrible people, but we did the right thing, I think, where we said, honestly, no, you guys would have more fun playing by yourselves, that kind of thing. But what I do see there a lot, though, is there's some teams, there's some guys that go there and teams that go there to try and practice, and they just let those walk-on guys go on all day, and they just roll them. And the problem is these people are showing up, those people that just find it and think this is paintball, and that's their first experience, and it's the worst thing on the planet.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's definitely not helping.
Well, and that's kind of goes in line with the whole, industry dive of 2000 and stuff like that is, as an industry, we're allowing, quote-unquote mom and pop shops, and there's nothing wrong with, having one field or one store or whatever, but we have no standards. There's no... a couple of the manufacturers are getting better at it. Key Action Sports is getting better about, requiring proof of insurance before they'll send you paint. Dye has some pretty decent minimum orders in place, but we make it incredibly easy for somebody to come in off the street knowing nothing about paintball with just a pocket full of money to start their own store or field. But we never follow up with them. We never say, hey, we sold you 50 rental guns. How's, what kind of experience are you giving your customers? Really all they care about is that we sold our 50 rental guns as an industry to that person. There's really no follow-up. And, that's discouraging because in this market up here, we've got ourselves and an OSG paintball, which is probably an hour and a half from us. And we're kind of the two bigger fields. And I would say we both provide a really good experience for players, a different experience, but a good experience.
I agree.
And then, we do have some smaller fields locally. And, it's not that they're doing it maliciously. Like they have a good setup. They want to succeed. They want to do it, but they're doing it as a hobby. They're not doing it to make money. They're not, they just love paintball. And as much as I love the guys that are, super into the sport and, have a lot of passion about it, I believe that you have to use it as a business. You can't do it as a hobby because as soon as you have those hobby guys, what are you doing, I guess, is the biggest thing of like, okay, cool, you can have your friends over and stuff like that. But now all of a sudden you're having these rental guys. And from my perspective, a rental customer, if they get attached to paintball, they could spend $5,000 over the course of their, career of paintball, even if it's only a couple years. I mean, that's a relatively large number. So at the time that they walk through the door, you have a choice. You can either take their $5 and never see them again, which is going to, get you $5,000.
Right.
And my problem with some of the smaller guys is they take the $5 and they're okay with that guy never coming back. They don't even notice. It doesn't even cross their mind. And the only person that hurts is, the fields that are trying to get them to come back. because they're, if somebody goes to BOLP and they don't have a good time, or they go to another, any other small little field and they don't have a good time, they're not going to go try a big field. They're not going to go try,
no, because to
CPX
them there's no difference. It's
right,
just
they don't,
paintball.
Yeah, they have no
and
idea.
And paintball is bad.
Yep, yeah, they had a bad time and they're not coming back. And so it didn't cost that field $5,000. It cost the industry $5,000. And it doesn't take many people to change a local atmosphere. Think about it. If we added, just in this market, if we added 50 people that were regular paintball players, 50 people is not a big number when you look at how many players we do every year and whatnot. If we added 50 people, that's a lot of speedball teams that would play in a local tournament. That's a lot of guys that are going to be regular every paintball players. That's a lot of guys that are going to spend $5,000 a piece. That adds up in a hurry. And as an industry, we're kind of just glossing over the fact that half of our industry, if not more, is just turning people away after their first time playing. And there's no procedure for the industry to kind of catch on to that. We're letting these guys run. We're selling them paint. We're giving them rental guns, and no one's ever saying like, "Hey, we're gonna mandate if you want to sell." I've always been on Key Action Sports, but if them as a company, if they just stand up and say, "Hey, we're only going to sell paint to you if you do X, Y, Z," if you portray our sport in a certain way and stuff like that. And it's not uncommon for industries to do that. And I know it's hard because, you'd have some other companies try and come in and sell them paint, stuff like that. But collectively as an industry, we need to broach that subject of, hey, what do we classify as a good time playing paintball, and how do we manage that? How do we get the guys that aren't providing a good experience, that are scaring people away? We don't have enough players to alienate people, I guess, is the biggest thing.
Right.
This isn't like the ski industry or something where we have, hundreds of millions of people where one bad ski mountain's not going to, make a bad industry. We're a small industry, and right now we can be. I just think there's the amount of really high quality fields I know of in the United States. Is 26 or 27 fields long. It's not a big list, and there's a lot of fields that aren't doing a great job.
Absolutely, I think just over the past 3 years going to Paintball Extravaganza, it's just, the crowd seems to just be getting smaller smaller every year, and the new faces that we are seeing, a lot of the times, especially last year, are just not. I'm not seeing the future with them. It's just not promising.
Yeah, well, and again, as an industry, we're seeing those people. We're sitting down with them and we're saying, "Hey, how can we help you start a paintball field?" When what we should be saying is, "This isn't for you," and I'm sorry, but we're not gonna, until you come off with a better attitude or whatever, we're not gonna sell to you, or we're not gonna help you. And
right, I specifically remember two people that I don't even remember names to not name names or anything like that. I just specifically remember two people that apparently had just started this field. It was an older couple, and I'm sure they're totally fine, nice people, and I've got nothing against them, but I just don't think they're for our industry. I remember we got there. It was the first night we had got to the hotel where everybody was staying. And we walked in, and we were going through the check-in process, signing all our paperwork and getting our ID tags. And they give you this little goodie bag that's got like brochures, and it's got like the layout for the exhibitors and stuff like that. And I remember we sat down at a table next to this older couple who were going through the goodie bag, and they were in honest shock and surprise and happiness that they got like a free notepad and like free pens and stuff like that.
Bag, yeah.
And I could just see it that wow, that's not gonna go well.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's just, I don't know, collectively, no other industry is, or none that I've ever been a part of, is really as kind of just money grabbing as our industry. It's not. For instance, we're a GoPro dealer. And I can tell you just from the industry side, setting up a GoPro dealer application, it's about twice as long as Key Action Sports application, which is the most intense in the industry by far. I mean, most of the applications to be a dealer in the paintball industry are like less than a page long, and
I have one sitting right over there.
And they don't even have to be accurate, to be honest. I mean, half of it's just it's like they don't even check any of the stuff, and it's like, come on, guys. So GoPro is twice as long, and once you accomplish the application, they approve it. It doesn't just go through. It's not an automatic yes. They approve it, and some of their stipulations are, hey, we'll give you the displays to display the GoPro product. You're not allowed to put anything else, like a third-party, GoPro names, even next to our display. It can't even be in the same area. And one of my favorite lines out of the application is the GoPro display has to be in a prominent location, and it has to look good. And they have guys that will actually come out and check. And if they walk in your store and they don't like where the GoPro display is, or how well it's stocked, or how it looks, or how well you dusted it, they don't come in and, oh, hey, can you move that around, or can you fix it? They put it in the back of their car and they leave, and they never sell you another camera in your life. And that's the attitude that I think kind of the industry needs to have. I guess another great example is like the die cases.
I was just going to bring that up. The die cases with our previous traveling sales rep from Die, Nick. He was talking, last time he had stopped up here, he was talking to us about the die cases down at such and such place that I'm not going to name.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, if you've ever been to a physical retail store that has these big glass die cases, or you've seen them in pictures or something like that, it's a big glass enclosed display case that Die does. They look really, really fancy. I'm sure they cost a lot of money.
Yeah, they can't be cheap.
No, and they just make Die products look super sexy. And our traveling sales rep from Die, Nick, was up here a while ago, and he was talking to us about the last field he had been to, the last store. Had it, and it was all dusty and it was nasty, and there wasn't even any dye product in it. In fact, there was Planet Eclipse product in it, there was old Smart Parts product in it, there was JT product in it, there was everything but dye.
Well, and actually the last time I talked to him as well, a different store, I think it was a store only, had it was holding airsoft stuff. It wasn't even in the paintball industry.
Right. And the problem is, he's sitting there telling us this story, and at the end of the story, all he can say is, man, I wish I could just take that away from him, but he doesn't have that power.
Well, and if he did take it away from him, the first person that would be down his throat would be, the higher ups at Die would be like, yo, why'd you, this account's calling me and they're saying they're not going to buy more stuff, and because you took their case away, and he would be the one in trouble instead of the other way around, where Die should be going like, hey, we gave you a case, we gave, you can put product in it, you can sell it better, it sells, you didn't pay for this case, this isn't your right to have it, this is our case, it's not being used appropriately, we're not going to give you a chance to fix it, we're going to stick it in the back of the van, and we're not going to sell product to you because you're not making the sport of paintball look good, you're not making our products look good. I wish that there was a lot more of that. I mean, there's no reason why, these manufacturers can't be saying, hey, do it right or don't do it. And they're afraid of losing the business, but, there's going to be somebody else that does it better. That's all there is to it. If the industry sticks together and says no to some of these guys, those guys are going to go out of business. New people are going to come in that are going to do it better and are going to adhere by the rules. And
yeah, it's just certain boundaries and limits and like rules and like just general agreements between everybody in paintball that just need to be set for the health of the industry. It's just internally as an industry, like, we can't fight. Like, you see this crap on like PB Nation all the time, like all these. You have like the group of like Die fanboys, and you have the group of like Planet Eclipse fanboys, and all they do is bitch at each other and yell at each other and call themselves idiots because one person likes to shoot a DM and one person likes to shoot an ego. Like, dude,
yeah, if you don't shoot a DM though, you are an idiot.
Oh well, you're fired. So
yeah,
but realistically, you got to look at it and be like, really, you guys are literally having an 80-page conversation on PB Nation about like shut up, you're both playing paintball. Like, what's the big deal?
Well, and realistically, you're both asking for the free shit from your local pro shop.
Anyway, yeah, so you should probably they should probably just shut up in the first
place. You
place.
bought the DM used for $200, you know, for PB Nation, and now you're whining that the thing broke or it was scratched or something like that, you know. Yeah, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, so realistically, covering that. The boundaries and the rules and stuff that need to be set. This happened recently with Planet Eclipse. If anybody, I think this was more of an industry known thing. I don't know if it was really like publicly put out, like the information about it.
Yeah, I don't think it was put out publicly a whole ton. I mean, just if you're
not that
color
it's
swapping.
Yeah, not that it's classified or anything like that. But what was going on is everybody knows on A&S gear, A&S gear custom anodizes basically every gun they get their hands on, and they put all these custom anos and stuff on them, which I recently found out they're actually still doing to Planet guns, so I don't know how that's going to go. Basically what was happening is A&S gear does not, and I warn you all day, they do not do the anodizing process correctly. So what was happening is they were anodizing, it was the big one was with Ego 11s. Mm-hmm. They were putting this custom ano over it, and on an Ego 11, there's little tiny body holes that need to be open that vent air for the gun to properly work, and they weren't doing the ano properly, and they were covering up these little body holes, and what was happening is all these guns were broken from A&S gear.
Yeah, they wouldn't shoot higher than like 220, 230.
Customers call A&S gear, and A&S gear is they're just a store. They're just the distributor. Like, there's no warranty or anything through A&S. So A&S automatically sends you to Planet. You call Planet Eclipse. Planet Eclipse gets the gun in, and they were getting these guns in, and they had to retap the bodies with these holes. And in the end, basically, it was just A&S gear was anodizing guns just because they can make more money, and it was costing Planet Eclipse an epic ton of money.
Well, in time, I mean, the Planet Eclipse is a small, in the U.S. anyway, is a small little warehouse in Rhode Island with, not many people working at it. I mean, they do a great job of solving everybody's problems, but if they have to, retap every gun that A&S gear sells, like, that's not their job. Their job is to get product in and put it in a box and send it to the distributor and answer some custom, some technical questions every once in a while. That's...
Yeah, it was costing them time and money, and finally they just had enough of it, and they stepped up, and they basically they told A&S gear, if you anodize any more of our guns, you must publicly put in big bright red letters that you are voiding the warranty of this gun for life, which to this day they still have that on their website. And obviously I don't work at A&S gear. I could probably safely assume that they maybe lost a couple percentage points on Planet Eclipse gun sales through A&S almost because of that.
You mean Planet Eclipse to A&S gear?
Just customers to A&S gear.
Oh, I mean, maybe
obviously it's hard. It's impossible to tell.
I mean, you know me. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of A&S gear just in general, but it wasn't just A&S gear either. What the intention I got from Planet was they wanted to stop people in online stores and stuff like that from anodizing guns, which which obviously the problem with those holes, and I mean obviously a problem just in general. I mean, you're stripping a gun and anodizing it, it's just you're asking for problems.
Yeah.
But the other thing was the color swapping.
The color swapping was an issue for a while.
Where a store would get in two different color guns, swap the colors on it, and then say, oh, we have this limited edition color or something, and Eclipse was saying, hey, this voids the warranty because you have a guy taking it apart at the store. We can't... one thing people don't really know about Planet Eclipse is they actually test shoot in Rhode Island every single gun that goes out. And when I mean test shoot, I don't mean dry fire. I mean they shoot paintballs through it.
Yep.
So every gun that comes out from them has already been tested and approved by their quality control guys. They put a tag on every gun saying it has been done. I'm not saying that's a foolproof process, but when you have when it gets to your local pro shop and they take it apart and swap the parts out or whatever, it's no longer Planet Eclipse, quote unquote, quality control certified. And that's the underlying issue. Is Eclipse was getting tired of, hey, my new gun's broken out of the box, and then being like, well, we shoot it before we send it out. So if you don't touch it, what's wrong with it? Yeah. And them just having to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and then they get it back, and it's 3 different colors, and they're like, what the hell is this?
Right. Yeah, you pinch the eye wires because you put it in wrong, and because you're not a certified tech, and we don't certify that what you're doing.
Right.
That was their big thing.
Yeah, and more or less the point I was really trying to hit there is that Eclipse stepped up and told ANS off, which was almost an industry first, which was only really not tagged out by MacDev did it just before Eclipse did it.
And Virtue.
For basically ANS gear just selling things under the map prices set by MacDev and Virtue. They just got tired of it.
And this is huge. They think they can do whatever they want.
Right, they think they can push, like why, as a company, like a small company, like especially MacDev being all the way out in, Australia, a tiny paintball company like that, if I was just like a greedy person in general and all I cared about was the money and I was sitting at ANS, like my first thought would be, what is MacDev gonna do? I'm the biggest distributor on the planet. It's online.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we all kind of we kind of joke amongst ourselves of, it's ANS is they're a big company and they do a good job on a lot of stuff, but some of the stuff it's just, I don't know, it always came off to me as a little bit slimy.
Yeah.
And it is tough the manufacturer side. It's I don't know how big their market share is and stuff like that, but I know it's relatively substantial. And, like you said, it's easy for these companies to be like, hey, we get a huge order from ANS Gear every week, and all we have to do is pick up the phone and call them instead of, trying to hawk one gun at a time to local stores.
Right. You see these pictures up on Facebook every single day of 80 pairs of one new color grill showing up at ANS.
Yeah.
And then they get all 15 colors like that.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's, and I think on that front, I mean, the industry can do, they can change the map policies, they can pull their product from ANS, and that's their prerogative. I think that there should be a little bit more of an uprising from a player perspective and a shopper perspective of saying, hey, who do we support? Do we support the local shop that's going to have our back when the product's, damaged and whatnot? Do we support the online retailer that's going to, has somebody on the phone that's actually going to help us and not just refer us to the manufacturer to get something fixed? Or that's going to sell it, pre-sell us a product that's
never going to come out.
That's never going to come out, or it's unknown if it's going to come out, or I see that a lot on ANS Gear.
Like up until a month ago, you could still pre-order a GSL
on
ANS Gear. Like
it's not going to happen, guys. But and then instead of giving the money back, they're going to give you store credit or something like that. So from a player perspective, like who are you going to support? Are you going to support the big corporate guy that's literally not going to ever help you with anything? Or are you going to, find an online store that gives you the right support and the right customer service and, that you deserve for buying a product from them?
Yeah.
And your local pro shop, there's something to be said for walking down to the local store, touching and feeling everything, figuring out what's best for you.
Yeah.
And, ordering it through them or picking it up through them. And, I think as players, we really need to realize that that's something that has to happen, as well as the industry needing to
not just companies
to stick to their guns.
Yeah, customers need to have standards. The players do.
Yeah,
like at some point you just need to stop and say like, hey man, that's not right.
Right.
Like, how is that helping anybody?
Yeah, well, and at the end of the day, it's not. And on the main, like from the manufacturers, I always hear like, oh, well, it's easy to send them a big box of product and stuff. And, oh, well, if we just stopped sending them stuff, wouldn't that bite into our sales? And I guess my answer to that is no. In my opinion, it wouldn't. Like, that's like saying, oh, we didn't send, a bunch of product to Walmart. Like, it's not. It makes no difference who you send it to. Some other store is going to pick up the slack if ANS Gear doesn't have it. The customer is going to look elsewhere and they're going to find it elsewhere and they're going to buy it, whether that be local or another online store. That's it's the same thing as the fields. I think that the online stores need to have the same quality standards that the the stores do, because again, we're talking retention here.
Yep.
Player goes out, they play for the first time, they have a good time, so now they're looking for a gun. They don't know what they're looking for. They go online, they buy it from A&S Gear or any other online store, and if it comes in broken or smashed or whatever, and they call and you tell them tough luck, you got to send it back to the manufacturer, and they may or may not help you and whatever. Oh, by the way, your warranty's voided because we annoed your gun or whatnot. Again, like, the player's not coming back, and he might not come back to A&S Gear, but he's definitely not going to his local field and playing because he doesn't have a gun. It's broken. He spent mom's going to kill him because he spent $500 on something that's broken.
Right, exactly.
It just leaves a bad taste in the mouth, and that's, as an industry, that's a problem for us.
Yeah. So back over to you, Alex. Other Alex. From the consumer side, do you get that feeling as well, or just if you're sitting there and you need you need a new barrel or something like that, do you, as the strict consumer, I know there's a little bit of weird bias here because you work here in the shop with me now, but before, like,
yeah, well, I know what you're saying.
5 years ago, would you just sit there and just suck it up and say, yeah, A&S kind of sucks, the shipping sucks, and I might not get fucked, but they have the barrel, instead of driving around to 3 different pro shops to try and find it? Where would you lead?
Well, you did have the convenient factor.
There is a convenience factor, and I think that's what sways a lot of people, and unjustifiably so, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, because a few years ago, before I even knew AG even had a pro shop anymore, I would have to drive an hour and a half
to Wizard,
yep, and then pay a sales tax. And in general, I hate Massachusetts, so
really, there goes half my subscriber base.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Carry on.
But it was just the convenient factor of A&S, and everybody would joke. All teammates would joke about it, saying, you on Facebook or you text them, hey, I'm doing A&S gear order. I need to hit $100.
Right. So everybody pulls together.
What do you guys all need? So, in general, it was the convenient factor. If there's a pro shop closer, I even have teammates now who say, yeah, hey, I need a new grill mask. I want to do it local. Same price. Matt price is the best thing I think that could have happened.
Because the industry's come a long way there in the past 5 years as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people want to keep the money in the community now.
Yeah.
Versus before, it was
nobody cared.
I can save $10. I don't care about my community because I'm saving $10.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just kind of approaching the hour mark here, so I'm just gonna kind of go ahead and wrap this up because I know we're all just trying to kind of get out of here. So just in closing, I think we're all kind of on the same page here that I think the industry's we're kind of rock steady here. We're just kind of riding a solid line. We're not really going really up, but we're not really going down either. I think there's some new different things happening in the industry. And really, we're going to see some change here in the next, kind of couple years to come, whether it be good or bad. I think there's definitely change coming.
Well, yeah, exactly. It is stable, but I do feel like for the first time since I've been in paintball, we have this opportunity and we have the tools available to really change the industry, in my opinion, for the better,
yep,
and kind of get it to a point where, it can turn over to the next generation and keep it going and all that fun stuff. We have all those things available to us. We just need to, as an industry and as players, we need to utilize those and make the right choices, basically.
Yeah. Any kind of last minute thoughts to throw around before we kind of wrap up here?
No, I think pretty much the industry is going to stay where it is, kind of thing. It's just, people got to take care of the new players. That's the biggest thing. It's fun shooting people, but, just take care of the new player. That's going to just grow the industry. Absolutely.
Yeah, nice, easy thing. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed our third episode of Paintball Roundtable. I'm trying to kind of make these get these better and have more and more guests on as we kind of continue here and kind of make the topics better and more interesting and trying to get you guys different perspectives of like how how you see paintball as a sport. And I hope if you guys are still listening at this point, I hope you guys learned something and found this entertaining. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of close it out here, Mr. Cam. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And Mr. Liscart, other Alex, third Alex, thank you again for joining us for another episode. And that's going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. So if you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you go hit that like button. That really helps out the channel a lot. That's just going to spread the channel around. It's going to show up in more searches, and it's just going to make it better for everybody. It's going to make it easier for me to get you guys new and better and bigger content and all that kind of jargon. And if you like what you heard and you want to come back for more, you can always just hit that subscribe button. It's right there below the video. Just go ahead and click that for all the latest and greatest every time I put videos up. And that's about it, guys. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you guys next time.